I was conscious of everything that was going on, but it was something beyond anything that I could do of and on my own. That day is the day that I got saved. My name is Hannah, and I'm from Cleveland, Ohio. When I was young, I was born into a dysfunctional family. My father was an alcoholic, so my mother was abused. She loved him, and they divorced when I was very young. So my mother, as a result of her pain, I was pretty much a reminder of my father to her, so that was kind of taken out on me. For the 3 years that we stayed with our father, my father would abuse us. By the age of 12, we were put in foster care. I remember going to this interview at a place called Palmerdale, and I thought to myself, I'm not going to stay here. I was in the 9th grade, and I ran away, and I grew up in the streets. From sleeping in the neighborhood park to my mother's back porch, to being in a home with a man that was had a lot of us young girls in there, and we were being sold. I was pregnant with my second child, and I was put in jail with drug abuse because back in those days, the women were having babies and they were finding them in garbage cans, and the judge made sure that I would not be one that would have a child like from drugs. So I wanted to see my children when I got out. I would call my mother, and she would hang up on me. She would not let me come see my children. From my aunt, I knew what church she went to. I was nervous to go in. I had bought me a 40-ounce of Colt 45. I had some cigarettes. I drank the beer in the church lot and smoked me a cigarette, and I went into church. And I went in, I saw my children sitting on the side. I sat down in my seat next to my boyfriend, and I heard the gospel of Jesus Christ preached. And I heard how Jesus delivers from addictions and how he heals, and that caught my attention because I wanted out. I never liked the life that I was living, and I didn't know how to get out. And so when I heard the gospel preached, I instantly believed. When altar call came, I said, Jesus, I want to be healed. I want to be delivered. And all of a sudden, this supernatural encounter came over me, and I was slain in the floor. I was conscious of everything that was going on, but it was something beyond anything that I could do of and on my own. That day was the day that I got saved. And it was so exciting. It was like a 45-minute walk to get to church. So I was so zealous. Me and my children knocked on doors in the community that we were, and people were sitting on the floor in my apartment every Sunday while I shared the gospel of Jesus Christ for the ones that couldn't make it to church. That's how zealous that I was. And I had no clue that the enemy was coming after us. My husband, he started calling, my ex at that time, he started calling, and I allowed him to talk to me and talk me into remarrying him, and I did. He came out there, and then it wasn't long, he just disappeared. June 19th, 2007, I heard the most devastating news I can ever hear in my life. Somebody that knew us, my husband and I, came up to me and told me that my husband had told him that he had been sleeping with my child. I called the police. I called my mother. I called my family. And I asked for help. Instead of really getting the help I thought I was going to get, my children were taken away. I was in the hospital. They induced my labor. They took my child, and all my children were taken from me that day. I was on a mat on the floor, Cleveland, Ohio homeless shelter. And I fell back into alcohol, back into drugs. Just the pain, it was overwhelming. I remembered the encounter that I had with God, and I was praying, and I opened up my Bible, and that's how I started becoming zealous for learning what He wanted. But my actual, how God got me is I was struggling so hard with drugs. I did continue to go to church. I didn't stop, but I couldn't just stop the battle of drug addiction. So how the Lord drew me back is I was on a binge for 3 days and 3 nights. And I was walking the streets, I was stealing, I was doing everything with that's shameful for a woman to ever do. I prayed to God from my heart and I screamed, Jesus, please. And I asked Him, Lord, please, if you give me another chance, I promise I'll follow you all the days of my life. Help me. And I cried to the Lord, and that night, Jesus forgave me for my sins, and He delivered me out of it all instantly. I ended up here at Moody Bible Institute because a part of that prayer, He put that whole burning desire in me, and I knew that the only way that I can do it is to go to school. In a year, I got my GED. And I was so grateful because out of all the things I've done, and God blessed me to get that. And as immediately I came to Moody Bible Institute with the goal of obtaining the necessary degrees that I need to go back to my hometown and start a day shelter for the homeless community. Luke chapter 4, verses 18 and 19 is my favorite scripture. Jesus, when He went through His wilderness experience, He was tried, tested, and proven during that time of fasting and praying when He was led into the wilderness. And when He came out, the Spirit of the Lord was upon Him, and then He was preaching. Right before He went into ministry, He cast out demons, He healed the sick. And right now, God's Spirit is available to all of us. And that is something that I took upon myself because I went through the storm of my life in the wilderness experience that I went through. And I believe that that's what God has called me to do, to preach deliverance to the captives, to heal the brokenhearted, and share the good news with others.